Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Crush Cravings Before Diabetes Crushes You. I'm your host, Karen Sammer. I'm a National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, and I specialize in helping people who are pre-diabetic and overweight overcome the cravings that hold them hostage so they can lose the weight and avoid diabetes medication once and for all. And today, what I'd like to talk to you about is mindset. Now, mindset, in my view, has a huge influence on whether or not you're going to be successful in your quest for a healthy lifestyle or any other aspect of your life. If you are of the mind, if you believe that you cannot do something, you absolutely can't do something no matter what you do, then you're going to find all the evidence in the world why that thing is impossible for you to do. And you'll prove it to yourself over and over again. On the other side of that, if you know that you can do it, you may not have the skills yet to do it, you may not have the knowledge or the information that you need to do it, but you have the tools available to you to learn the skills, to acquire the information, to do the research, or whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And you know that by trying and possibly failing a few times, eventually you're going to be able to do it. That is the mindset that's going to make you successful. So, are you going to be a victor or a victim of whatever your circumstances are? And a lot of the times, even though you can't control what other people do or what outside influences happen around you, what you can control is your response to them and how you behave as a result of whatever's going on, and how you maybe pivot if you need to, or if you feel like you're going down a rabbit hole or a wrong path, you can turn around and go back and sort of reevaluate where you're going and take a different tack. And these are things that are these are tools that you can use to be successful in whatever it is that you do. So if you are, for instance, in my line of work, if you're trying to lose weight, if you are someone who has, as I was in most of my adult life, I was up and down the scale all over the place. And then I got very sick, and I felt like I had no choice but to really take control and do something about my circumstances. So, I was highly motivated to stay alive and make sure that I was here to raise my children. And so I had to find a different way compared to the way I was doing things before. Because the other things that I did didn't work, because I'd always go back to the same old. So I didn't want to do that anymore. And I had to do the research that I needed to do, and I had to muster up all of my stamina for one thing, my motivation and all the reserves that I had. I really had to bring them forward so that I could be successful in taking control of my health and making sure that I was here long enough to raise my children. And fast forward, I am. My children are grown and flown. So it's, I was successful in making sure that I stayed here long enough to do that. But what I learned is that motivation isn't enough necessarily. Willpower certainly isn't enough. It's really about what's going on in your head. It's really about what you're thinking and what you believe and what you perceive that you can do. Because what you're, I can quote all kinds of things. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. That was Henry Ford. Napoleon Hill said, I'm going to paraphrase, I think, what the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And as we have found over and over again, our minds are very powerful, because so far you've been successful in your life up to this point because you're here and you're able to function and you're able to, you're listening to this. So if you're here, whatever you've done throughout your life, whether it was an opportunity for growth or it was a raging success, you're here because of it, in spite of it, as a result of it, who knows? But the important thing is that we have to understand that whatever we think, if we think we can or we think we cannot, we will find evidence on either side of that argument to support our position. So you can be a victim of your circumstances, if that's what you want to do. If you feel it's an easy way out sometimes. You can say, oh, why me? Woe is me. Why does all this stuff happen to me? Well, it doesn't necessarily happen to you. It may happen as a result of your own activity, your own behaviors, your own actions, or it may be the result of someone else's actions and the result of your response to those actions. So if you responded in one way that ended up maybe taking you down a path that you didn't want to go down, versus another way which would have helped you to pull yourself out of that circumstance, whatever that is, and take a different road, either of those things would have been your own choice. And your mind would have, you would have made that choice, whether consciously or unconsciously, to be where you are at any given moment. And so I do believe that in at least some small way, everything that has occurred in our lives is because of a behavior of our own. And you may say, well, what about people who are assaulted as they're walking down the street? Well, their contribution to that circumstance is, while they did not invite that assault necessarily, and they usually don't, I would say, they put themselves on that street at that time. Now, of course, would they have done that had they known that the assault was on its way? Probably not. But the choice that they made was, in that particular moment, they walked down that street. So that was their contribution to the circumstances. When you develop an illness, as I did, I developed cancer in 2009. And my contribution to that was the way I was treating my body. You know how they tell you to treat your body like a temple? I was treating my body like a beat-up old camper. And it was not being cared for properly. It was not being fed properly. I didn't get enough sleep. I was drinking too much alcohol. I was eating the wrong foods. I was eating too much of the wrong foods. And as a result, I ended up with breast cancer. But I think I heavily contributed to that circumstance. And I know a lot of people feel like they did not, their lifestyle or their choices in life did not contribute to whatever their health concerns are. And I would suggest that if it's something that was developed over time, it is likely that your lifestyle contributed to it, or your food choices contributed to it, or the way the stress, the way you manage stress or didn't manage stress contributed to it. And so we do contribute to our life circumstances in whatever way that looks. And because of that, we have the power to change our circumstances in whatever way we can. I mean, some circumstances are not within our control at the moment, but the way we act as a result of those circumstances, the way we react to those circumstances, is certainly our own choice. But if you can take ownership of whatever your contribution to a situation is, you have just taken back some of your power. You're no longer a victim. You are somebody who has influence over whatever your situation is. And isn't that a better feeling than somebody who is completely at the mercy of someone or some other thing, someone else, or some circumstances? When you just take ownership of whatever small piece of a situation you contributed to, that allows you to be able to think about a different path. And if you had influence on where you are now, you also will have influence on what the next steps are, whatever that may be. And sometimes it takes a little imagination, because you may not necessarily know where you are, how to overcome a situation that you're in. But tiny little steps in making decisions that will help you move an inch closer to whatever your desired outcome is. Or not allowing, if someone else is in complete control of the situation, not allowing that person to control the way you think which isn't as easy as it sounds. I mean, we are, very often, not very often, but there are circumstances when you are unknowingly the victim of mind control of some sort. If you're in a situation where someone has sole influence over you, you rely on that person for your shelter and your food and your safety, and you are being mistreated by that person, it's easier to fall into the victim position on that than it is to rise up and do something on your own behalf, especially if you're in a situation where your safety is challenged or threatened, or you've been so undermined, your self-worth and your feeling of belonging has been so undermined that you feel like you're completely alone in the world and there's nobody to help you. That's when it really takes a lot of gumption and a lot of courage to really muster up the strength to make one small move in the direction of saving yourself or helping yourself. Now, I've gone down a rabbit hole here, and I'm not going to stay there because this is not my area of expertise. But what I can tell you about is when you are in a situation, when you've tried to lose weight over and over again, or you've lost a little weight and you've gained it all back, or you are good for 3 days, good air quotes, for 3 days, where you have made good food choices and you've done some exercise and you've done things to better your situation, and then the cravings come back, or you're under a stress, or you're under a time constraint or something, and you fall back into old habits. When you do that enough, and sometimes it doesn't take very many times, but when you do that enough, it undermines your value to yourself. It undermines your perception of your ability to complete the task. The task being putting yourself on the right path and making it so that you are giving yourself the best chance possible to have a healthy, long, vibrant life. So when you fail at this over and over again, eventually you feel like it's just outside of your control. You can't do anything about it. And that is absolutely not the case. You always have a choice. You always have the choice to eat this versus that. Are you going to eat a salad, or are you going to eat a fast food meal? Supersized fast food meal. Are you going to exercise, or are you going to sit in front of the television set? Are you going to do some deep breathing, or are you going to just allow the stress to consume you? Are you going to stay up late and do whatever it is that you do when you stay up late, or are you going to go to sleep at a reasonable hour so that you get plenty of sleep every night? Are you going to stay by yourself because it's a lot easier and you're introverted and you just want to stay inside and stay cocooned in your home? Or are you going to be in community with people who care about you, who you care about, with whom you can have some fun, have some belly laughs, really good for you, by the way. Or are you just going to stay at home by yourself because it's easier? Because I find myself, honestly, sometimes I prefer to stay by myself. But I know it's better for me to be around family, be around friends, be in a situation where I am stimulated by conversation with people. We have a few jokes, we laugh, we have fun, we do things, we're active together. That's actually better for me than sitting at home by myself. People are meant to be in community. And does that mean you shouldn't have downtime? Absolutely not. After you had a social interaction, you probably do need to decompress, especially if you're an introvert. But it's the daily habits that we have. It's the daily choices that we make over time that put us on the path of either good health or debilitated health. And if I'm given the option, which I am every single time I make a decision, I prefer to choose vital health, good health, energy, feeling healthy and well, no aches and pains, all of those things, happiness, joy. And it's the decisions that I make every minute of every day that put me on one path or the other. And I don't always make the right decisions. Just like anybody else, I don't always make the right decisions. Sometimes I stay up late and watch TV. Sometimes I stay up late and work. Sometimes I allow stress to overcome me and don't take the steps to downregulate that stress response. And when we do that, when we let the stress response just take over our lives all the time, that causes inflammation in our body, which is the root of many disease states in our body, including heart disease. It contributes to diabetes, blood sugar imbalances. It contributes to weight gain because cortisol, which is when your cortisol is heightened, that's your stress hormone, one of the stress hormones, you accumulate belly fat. If you are under unrelenting stress every single day without any relief, you accumulate belly fat from that. It can cause peptic ulcers. It can cause all kinds of digestive issues. It can cause sleeplessness. It can cause you to want to self-medicate with drugs or alcohol or gambling or sex or pornography or whatever, scrolling on your social media for hours and hours and hours just to escape. Stress leads to procrastination. It leads to bad relationships. And so it's just, you have to make the right decisions most of the time. You're not going to do that all the time because you're a human being.
Let's go way on, way back when. I didn't even know you couldn't have been too much more than 10. I ain't no psychiatrist, I ain't no doctor with degrees, but it don't take too much time to see what you're doing to me. You better think about what you're trying to do to me, yeah. Think, let your mind go, let yourself be free. Oh, freedom, 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 oh, freedom, yeah, freedom, now freedom, 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 oh, freedom. Hey, think about it, think about it. Ain't nothing you could ask I could answer you what I want, but I was gonna change that.
And you make mistakes and you're not perfect. None of us is perfect. But if you allow yourself a moment of breathing so that you can make the right decision in any given situation, you're definitely going to be better off. And and the more you do that, the more your mindset will be such that you've seen evidence of your success. Because if you consciously make the right decision more often than not, then you've given yourself evidence that you are capable of making the right decision and therefore being successful at whatever it is that you want to be successful at. And once you've done that and you keep piling on those successes, that makes your mindset stronger and stronger. And you can with persistence and trial and error and not being afraid to fail, you will be able to be successful at anything you try. You get the right tools, you get the right information, give yourself enough time. If you need somebody to teach you how to do something, if you need a coach to help you move through it, these are all tools on your behalf that will work on your behalf to make you successful. And the more successes you put behind you, the more likely it is that you're going to believe that you can be successful at anything. That's called a growth mindset. A growth mindset is really just knowing that even if I don't have the tools right now to do what I need to do, I know that with the right tools and with practice or persistence or just effort, I can do whatever it is that I want to do. And that's one of the biggest things that I do with my clients is that I teach them and I show them evidence of where they've been successful in their lives. Because very often when you're in that headspace where you think you can't do whatever it is you're trying to do, then you consider yourself a failure in lots of things that really you aren't. You aren't a failure. You're here. You've successfully made it through this part of your life, this much of your life. And so that makes you a success just because you're still breathing. So you've done that right. And there are many other things that you can identify if you give yourself the opportunity. So, as I said, one of the tools that you can use as a coach, and I am in your corner 100%. I would love to have a conversation with you about this subject or any other subject that we talk about, so that we can look at where you are, we look at where you are now, where you'd like to be, and we can lay out action steps for you to get from where you are now to where you'd like to be as far as your health and wellness goes. So you can go to my website, yourpoweryourhealth.com/book, and schedule yourself a free consultation. It's an hour that will be very powerful, very informative, and it'll be the best hour you've spent in a long time. So, and I'm not bragging, I'm just trying, I don't mean to brag. I would just like to impart upon you that I will be sharing lots of information and lots of helpful tips. So it is definitely an hour that might be worth your while. And for that, I just want you to remember that whatever you think you can do with the right tools, you will be able to do it. The right tools, the right amount of time, patience, persistence, effort, you should be able to do it. There are lots of evidence out there where other people have done it. And what makes them any better than you? Nothing. They can do it, you can do it. This is Karen Sammer, your Power Your Health, Nutrition and Health Coaching. I'm a board-certified health and wellness coach, and I'm here to help you to overcome the cravings so that you can lose weight and avoid diabetes. Have a great day.
Freedom, freedom, freedom.